While playing for Melbourne, Jeff Farmer had a frustrating first half in a match against Collingwood, after being benched and receiving a stern halftime speech from his coach, Neil Danaher. In a twist of fate, an injury to one of Melbourne's players forced Danaher to send Farmer back onto the field in the third quarter. Little did anyone know that this decision would lead to one of the most remarkable individual performances in modern football. With a burst of energy and determination, Farmer ignited the stadium, scoring an incredible 9 goals in just 45 minutes. His display was a mix of electrifying speed, impressive athleticism, and goal-scoring prowess, leaving the Collingwood defence completely stunned. From crumbing efforts to a spectacular mark that drew comparisons to the great Gary Ablett, Farmer showcased a range of skills that set the crowd alight. With each goal, his confidence grew, and he even sent a defiant message to the coach's box after one of his scores. Ultimately, Farmer's exceptional performance guided Melbourne to a resounding 65-point victory. Surprisingly, despite his heroics, he didn't receive the Brownlow votes, with Adam Uze earning Best on Ground honours for his supporting role in the midfield. No player has been able to match the magic of Jeff Farmer's 9-goal display since. His performance solidified his status as one of the greatest small forwards in the history of the game. In what became a thrilling final round at Subiaco Oval in Perth, celebrating the final games of Kevin Sheedy as Essendon's coach and James Hearn's final match as a player, Essendon's Scott Lucas nearly orchestrated a fairy tale ending. Despite falling short by 8 points against West Coast, Lucas rallied with a 7-goal final quarter performance, bringing the Bombers within touching distance of a miraculous comeback. The Eagles had dominated the game, establishing a commanding 51-point lead late in the third quarter. However, Lucas's heroics in the final term ignited a spirited revival, bringing Essendon within 2 points with only minutes remaining on the clock. But a late goal by Brent Staker secured the win for West Coast, with the final score reading 132 to 124. The Eagles entered halftime with a commanding 38-point advantage, and despite a back and forth goal exchange in the third quarter, Essendon were unable to rein in the Eagles' lead, entering the final term trailing by 43 points. It was then that Lucas, who had a relatively quiet game with only 1 goal until that point, shifted into overdrive, providing a glimmer of hope. In the end, Lucas's remarkable effort proved to be in vain, as Sheedy bid farewell to the fans after an illustrious 635-game coaching career at Essendon, and Hurd concluded his playing career with a commanding performance of 34 touches and 1 goal. Though the Bombers couldn't secure the win, Lucas's heroic display and the emotional farewell of 2 Essendon legends made it a memorable and poignant final round. It was the elimination final that put a 20-year-old Lance Franklin on the map as the game's best forward for years to come. It was a battle between the 5th on the ladder Hawks and the 8th placed Crows. You would have thought it was the other way around, as the Crows came out leading after a 7-goal-to-4 first term. Franklin, who had kicked a late first term goal, knew the Crows were here to play, taking the game on his own boot, managing to kick 3 in a row in the second to keep the Hawks in the game after a 31-point deficit 11 minutes into the second quarter. Going into the half, Franklin had 4 goals to his name, and the Hawks were 2 goals down. However, a scoreless third quarter was not ideal for Buddy, although the rest of the Hawks team was able to hold off another Adelaide surge, allowing for Buddy to turn it up a gear in the fourth quarter. After a goal from Shane Crawford in the 2-minute mark, the Hawks surged forward again, and Buddy would mark the ball outside 50. The distance wasn't an issue for Franklin, as he would slot the goal for his 5th and bring the Hawks within 2 points. Over the next 10 minutes, the 2 teams exchanged goals and the Crows held an 8-point lead. But Buddy was too strong for his opponents, and his speed off the lead allowed him to mark the ball within 50 and slot through his 6th, bringing the Hawks back in front for the first time by 4 points. This brought momentum for the Hawks, and the rest of the team came to the party, looking to ice the game. Unfortunately, the Hawks managed 4 more behinds, and 2 goals by Adelaide put them ahead by 4 points. Jared Ruffhead had a chance to put the Hawks in front from a fairly easy angle and distance, however, managed only a point to bring the game to 3 points at the 28-minute mark. The Crows could feel the pressure, and a kick out in the full gave Shane Crawford the free kick inboard to Michael Osborne. And who else but Buddy Franklin would mark the ball and convert his 3rd for the quarter and 7th for the game to record a historical win for the Hawthorn Football Club. In what is one of the most amazing comebacks in AFL history and the greatest in Carlton history in terms of margin turnaround, Carlton came against a dominating Essendon outfit. The game looked all but over before half-time, with the Bombers up by as much as 48 points with 3 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Now enter Brendan Fevola. Up until that point, Fevola had been kept goalless by Essendon's Mal Michael, and a mark on the lead allowed Fev to step back for a set shot outside of 50, bringing the margin down to 7 goals. It wasn't a minute later that Adam Bentic of Carlton would find Fevola to run in for his second, and perhaps exactly what was needed to start the momentum for the second half. In the third quarter, the Blues continued with their momentum, kicking the first 3 goals of the third, finding themselves within 19 points of Essendon, who were up by almost 50 points at one stage. The pressure was high, and the Blues were able to feed Fevola the ball, and with his booming right foot, Fev was able to convert 4 of the Blues' 7 goals that quarter, putting them in front by 7 points at the end of that quarter, and a 55-point turnaround in just over a quarter of football, with 6 goals by Brendan Fevola. Fevola's impact in the final quarter was crucial, as he completed a remarkable mark while falling to the ground and then calmly converting the kick, putting Carlton ahead by more than a goal. And with 2 goals in the final term, Fevola was able to keep the Blues in front to win the game 125 to 122. His heroics on the day cemented his reputation as one of the game's most talented and influential forwards. The MCG crowd witnessed something truly special, as Fevola's performance showcased the kind of individual brilliance that can turn a seemingly lost cause into an exhilarating triumph. In round 3 of the 1973 season, a 21-year-old Lee Matthews had an incredible outing against the Bombers, where he recorded an incredible 41 disposals, 38 kicks and 3 handballs. Not only did Matthews accumulate such a high disposal count, but he would go on to kick 11 goals and 3 behinds in the 170 to 102 win. Although there is no available footage of the game, many consider the performance by Matthews as the best single display of football ever. At quarter time, Matthews recorded just 1 goal, and at the half, the Hawks would only be up by 9 points, although Matthews would help keep the lead with 3 goals in the second quarter. A further 2 goals in the third quarter assisted the Hawks in bringing their lead up to 34, and in the last quarter, no mercy was shown by Matthews, as he would record a further 5 goals in the final term. Arguably one of the best goal-kicking performances, especially by a player who played majority in the midfield.